Fight Talk 24/7. We're here with, for me personally, one of the pioneers of the combat sports when it comes to Bradford. When you say Bradford and you say combat sports, the name comes to mind. The first name that comes to mind is yourself, Spinner. So, first of all, thanks for taking time out to come and see us. And yeah, tell us a bit about your Brett and Spinner, how you guys met, first of all, and then.
Yeah, well, I think I remember Spenner coming to my dad's gym probably about nearly 30 years ago, maybe Spen.
Yeah, something like that. It were when you were in Shipley,
Yeah.
and your dad had the gym and the wrestling mats on the bottom floor.
Yeah.
So I used to go down and wrestle with the adults, showing my age a little bit there. And then all these kids would come running through the room after we finished our training, and it just looked like absolute mayhem. That was obviously Brett, Katie and Tommy and the Peterkins. So yeah, I think it probably is about 30 years ago, maybe.
Well, my earliest memories, I remember a couple of you guys coming over and my dad was like, oh, these guys are cage fighters.
Yeah.
And back then I feel like, because we were just wrestlers and my dad's just a wrestler, but like cage fighting them, we're like, wow, these guys are crazy. I think there was a guy with a bald head and he had a big handlebar goatee.
Yeah. Mick the Pirate.
Yeah, Mick the Pirate. And then we had Spen, we had a few people and they were like, oh, these guys are hardcore, man.
Yeah, it bit strange really. So I started doing martial arts in 1999. Started off with karate in my local village of White in Bradford. I'm a Bradford lad. Growing up in Bradford, most of my life's been spent in Bradford. Still a big part of me is still in Bradford, even though I live in Huddersfield now. But yeah, so I started doing karate, and then I was playing rugby league for Batley Bulldogs in their academy side. And then I kind of fell out of love with rugby. I didn't like you were kind of dependent on a whole bunch of other people, doing their job, making sure, they weren't coming to the game drunk and stuff like that. So I started kind of exploring more martial arts and started doing a little bit more karate, and then eventually it just led into finding Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in Huddersfield with the Anaconda team, and then just did every martial art I could get my hands on, including going down to your dad's gym and doing the wrestling side. From there I had my first MMA in a club fight on Darren Curry's Interclub over in Pontefract. That were in 2000, just a bit of fuel shortage. So yeah, that was my first ever fight in 2000.
Big, you know.
I know. Don't say it like that.
You're looking pretty well then,
Thanks, man.
26 years.
And I was just saying to him, Brett, off camera, this is one of my earliest memories. I don't know if it was like 2008, 2010 time. And I can't remember who were fighting. We went to go see, it might have been a Cassim, it might have been Kevin or someone, Kevin, and we were at Cedar Court, and for me that was like going to Las Vegas, honestly. We were like, what's all these people? But I wasn't allowed to go. I just said to him, it was like, back then it was like, Mum, you're not allowed to go to these, and all these people that go there, they're all crazy and stuff like that. And I remember, and I was asking Cass, who's this guy? He said, oh, he's my coach. And but where was your first gym in Bradford? Was that Fully Kazan? Or?
So originally, I started coaching a gym called Kickers. So at I'm just trying to think whereabouts it is. It's opposite where the old Morrisons used to be.
Is that where
Craig we're talking about?
Yeah.
So that's Craig Tetley. He started his training there before
he. In the hub then for
it was you had Craig Tetley, you had Tony Devine, who's a high level judo coach. He's based in Hebden Bridge and Elland and stuff like that. There were Darren Ward. I think he came over a little bit as well. But yeah, that's where it all started. Was we all got together, did jiu-jitsu, did some MMA. Had Dave McClellan, Dave King. He was doing the Thai boxing. So Ricky Joseph. That was where we all kind of started. So I started teaching a bit of a Tuesday class there. Again, I think that might have been 2001-ish, maybe a little after. Just after I fought in Italy. So yeah, and then over the road you had Moitsirin, which was a Thai boxing gym. I used to train there, and that was crazy. Like the mat was just carpet with some underlay in the ring, and the whole pile of bouncers would all come down to this Thursday session, and it was just awful. You were just fighting
Just have a
bouncers. Oh mate, it made me. I'll tell you, with bag gloves on, which have been used for 15 years. You know,
Swapping gloves where you're sweating.
you were getting knocked out as well. Like
Yeah.
you know, you were doing full fights with bag gloves on, no shin pads on.
Different world.
Yeah, and that's how it all kind of started because we had no frame of reference. You know, like MMA was based off of videotapes of the UFC, and these are early UFCs as well. So everyone's trying to work out
What's the best?
what it is. You know, how do we do the jiu-jitsu stuff? How do we do wrestling? And that's kind of what led to going to all these different gyms.
It's mad when you think about it, like the evolution of the sport.
It's blowing my mind right now. I literally, I'm thinking to myself, like, I feel like a casual. I feel like I've just walked into somewhere. I don't know what this sport is, and this guy's just reeling off all these names and all these different things and how it was to me. That is quite. It's mad. It's how it's from today.
But without the past, there's no future.
Yeah.
Someone has to go through that shit years to pass on the little bits of golden nuggets, then, aren't
So
they?
you've seen it from the early till
Definitely
till today.
And the crazy thing is there were people before me as well. So you've got like people like Les Allen. You know, he was doing that before I started. You know, he was going to America and fighting in Japan before I'd even probably done my first ever session. So like, you know, there are always people who've kind of proceeded. But the good thing is it's getting better and better and better. Like when you look at how people train now, it's safe, you know, it's inclusive, everyone's training together, you know. I mean, to be fair, like one of the great things about Bradford is like, and I struggle with this sometimes, is like everyone gets together. It doesn't matter where you're from, who you pray to, whatever goes on. Everyone can go in the gym and we can have a scrap. You know, we can all train together. You know,
shake hands after.
That's it. You know, Bradford's had some negative publicity over the years, but I personally, for the majority of my life, have never seen that. You know, because it's a level playing field. The great thing about fighting is everyone understands it. Don't matter where you come from, and it's the ultimate equalizer because it's just two people having a spar, having a fight, job's done, shake hands, off you go. And that's been, you know, one of the key things which it's been great seeing, you know, like the Bradford scene continue to advance. You know, like even though I'm not as active as I used to be in Bradford, you know, like, you know, you guys, what you're doing over here with your wrestling, you know, we've got Callum, Tom, you know, Jabid and Jamal in the city centre doing a fantastic job with Ben Bennett. You know, they're all my, you know, former teammates and students and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Bradford needs that. It needs that hub. It needs that place where everyone can go and just let stuff out. But what people don't see is like when you look around the room, it's everyone from everywhere. You know, Eastern Europeans. You've got, you know, people from you know, all over. You know, and they've got people travelling in now as well. So like I follow them, and you're seeing people from, you know, from Spain travelling over, and from the Middle East travelling over.
From the Middle East as well.
You know, and
good saying, you know, all's equal on the mat.
it is, and that's the important stuff, and that's all built through doing something really hard.
Yeah.
You know, and like the early days of like the MMA side, it's pretty awful. Like you know, you'd have your Saturday afternoon session, you go through absolute hell, and all the way through to Saturday evening to Sunday morning until you get to that Sunday afternoon session. You're like, what am I doing? Like, I don't need to do this. I've got a pretty good career. I don't need to be putting myself through this. I don't know if I'm going to be able to walk home after this, but you know, having that opportunity to do something really difficult, which challenges you and makes you face into your own fears and your own, you know, ego. That's something that everywhere needs. But I think, you know, for me, seeing people develop over the years, I've seen the benefits, but I've also seen like, you know, how it can go the wrong way as well.
And that's what we've been talking about. And what I'm trying to create is I'm creating a platform for, first of all, our city. It don't matter what religion, what colour, where you come from. We sit down, we put our differences together, whether you're Kudo, whether you're this, whether you're that, whatever religion you are, we can sit down, and I always say this to Brett, is we have one common thing, and it's combat sports.
Yeah.
We all understand the language, whether it's me, that's just a casual, whether it's you, that have got the pioneer. We've got wrestling champions and that have been around the world. But one thing that we all understand is when they go onto the mat, it's it don't matter about everything else, and we can all
Yeah.
have that and let it all out on the mats and kind of okay, well, we're off home now and we go back to our families and we live our life sort of thing. So I'm trying to create that and try to get the positive out there because there's certain people that look at it and think they're maniacs. Like I just said to you, back in early 2000s, you were either a bouncer, you were a criminal, you were something like you were a madman, or there was you were Spen there, that fell out with rugby and got in there and did that. But that's what we're trying to create, and first of all, we owe it to the likes of yourselves that have done that for the city, and then we look at the guys that are doing it today, and
definitely.
some are very young doing it, and some are quite old doing it, and I think if we all into like mix and we do all of this, we can create because I think personally Bradford, it's got the grit.
Yeah.
It's got the different types of athletes in it. It's got the different cultures in it, and that I think it's like Liverpool for me. It can create some quality athletes.
Oh, definitely, and I think it's supporting the community as well.
Yeah.
So the key thing that's really important if we want Bradford to develop to be a real powerhouse is that support. Not every kid's got that support. You know, when you look at the kids who were doing well in the IMFs, and you know, I led the England team, especially the junior team, for a couple of years. The kids who were doing really well are the ones who were getting supported by the families. So the families have to, you know, see a benefit not only for winning trophies and stuff and doing all that kind of thing, but just the kids' development. Like that needs to go back into any community. Doesn't matter who you are, what race, what religion, what it doesn't matter. You know, what works is that kind of development through supporting the athlete, everyone, coaches, family, everything. And that's where, you know, that positivity really helps. You know, we, especially in the early days, we had a lot of kids who were getting involved in some pretty harrowing things. Like we heard some awful stories. I'm not going to mention them, but like, you know, kids would come in and they're telling me some stuff and they were crying. Like you're 16. You know, why are you going through these kind of situations? Like, what can we do to help and stuff? And a lot of the time, it's just having somewhere. You know, it's not you know, taking them away from it. It's not, you know, doing anything like that. It's just, look, for this moment of time here, come in, hit a bag. You don't even have to have a fight. You don't even have to train. Just sit in a corner. Just have a place where you can, you know, be there and just leave outside for a little bit. And that's the key thing with these, you know, with what you're doing with the wrestling, you know, with what the guys are doing in Bradford, and there's multiple. James Sullivan, you know, he's one of my, you know, really good friends. Like he supported us so much. Hybrid combat. Like he gives us slightly different opportunity for people to still get involved in martial arts because he teaches like Salat and JKD and things like that. You know, not everything is just fighting to the death. You know, martial arts is what we need to focus on because, and we were talking about this before, like at some point you're not a fighter. You know, it's inside you. It never goes. But at some point, you're no longer an MMA fighter. And I've seen people break. I've struggled with that mentally myself. At some point, I've had to go in front of a mirror and go, Spen, you're never going to fight in the UFC. It's gone. You chose a different route. You know, you just be a martial artist because you can be a martial artist till whatever age. So you know, I'm involved quite heavily with Kudo. So I'm leading England Kudo at the moment. And the biggest reason why I got involved in Kudo is I needed something as a 40-year-old man which still allows me to develop my skill sets. I still get to challenge myself every now and again against someone who's equal, but I can always be a martial artist, and that's the important thing. And this is the thing that we need to focus on as a combative community. And this is where, you know, you guys doing these kind of things is really important, you know, giving people a different perspective because people think MMA is just UFC, just fighting, and it's not. It's martial arts.
No. The way you were going about being young and all, like, I think you get to a certain age, like you said, spend your real. Like, I did it with wrestling. I got to a point, I'm like, I'm not going to be a world champion. I've got,
You are a world champion.
Yeah.
You're a multiple world champion.
I guess so. But in my eyes, I wanted to be a freestyle wrestler, UWW world champion, not all.
Yeah.
And I got to a point where I knew that.
Yeah.
That dream's slowly going away, and it's an hard thing to swallow.
Oh,
But
yeah.
the more people who've done it, like yourself, like people around Bradford, you can pass that little bit of guidance on. Because at the end of the day, it's a sport.
yeah.
All this is just a sport. It's not the rest of your life. It's not your mum, your dad, your wife, your kids. It's literally just a sport. That's it. It's the best thing in the world. It's one of the best things in the world. But see it for what it is.
Yeah, and like this is where we'll tell you more about what we're not than we will what we've done.
Yeah.
Like my wife Marie, love her to death, but she goes absolutely ballistic. I will always tell you what I don't do, what I haven't done, rather than what I have done. So that's
You do that as a martial artist.
you do. But like one of the things which really sort of hit home with me as a coach is I remember teaching like a cardio kickboxing class, and it was just like there were a couple of like housewives in there and a couple of other people, and I was walking past and she says, "Oh, now I'm a kickboxer. I'm doing this 2 days a week," and it kind of sort of like I'm like, "Oh, so she's done a session. She's now a kickboxer."
Yeah.
How do I feel about it? I mean, does she need to win a title to become a kickboxer, or is she just a kickboxer because she's done it once?
Yeah.
And that I think about this moment. It was literally like one conversation happened many years ago, which kind of I sometimes go back through my head to think, well, what is a martial arts or what is an MMA fighter? You know, if I put some shorts on and gloves on, am I now an MMA fighter? You know, it doesn't matter. What makes you a kickboxer? What makes you a martial artist? What makes you, feel value in yourself?
I think it's all that, really.
It really is like, and I've had so many mental battles where, again, I've told myself what I'm not, but you need to remember, like, actually, I'm a martial artist.
For me, guys, I really despise this part of the sport. Is with the new, and this is we spoke about it so many times. It's a business, and they have to use this, and they have to portray themselves to be a certain way. But for me, that's like it's killing the next generation. It's creating this animosity. It's creating this these egos, and I'm not saying they're doing something wrong, but I just that must hurt you because look, you've just said it there. You're so humble. The pair of you, you're saying, "Oh yeah, you're a world champion." You're taking you're bringing all these sports like MMA back then. We didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
We would sort of loads of and we thought we were a load of hooligans fighting and we were
Sometimes it was.
Yeah, it was. But now you're doing this and you're bringing all these new types of combat and you kind of, well, in my opinion, one of the pioneers and you're constantly doing that.
Yeah.
So, mate, that is a massive thing. Correct me if I'm wrong, Brett. What you're doing, but then you get. I'm not pointing this to anybody. It's just I feel like just generally across the UK, and I can't speak for the rest of the world, but in UK because I go up and down the country so much, we're creating this, and it's quite dangerous. I always say, is that we're creating this next generation of people that won't be humble, that won't be. So what's your take on that? Do you see it? Do you know what the root cause of it is? Because this is the platform where when they see this, like, guys, you don't have to behave like that. You can still achieve this, and be humble.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not a fan of the, talking smack and doing that kind of stuff, but it's one of those where even if I really wanted to, I don't think I could make myself do it. Like, if this were really good, I'm really proud of it. Inside, I want to tell everyone and be like, "Oh, look at me, I'm awesome," but I just don't have it in me to do that. I think not a massive fan of that, but obviously it gets views, and where we are in society today, it's all about visibility. It's all about views. It's all about, I've got this follower and I've got that follower. I come from a very different time where, I was able to do loads of really stupid stuff and no one ever knew. And they'll never be able to find out what I did. Yeah. So nothing criminal.
Yeah.
Just a lot of really poor decisions. But and like I'm thankful for that. Yeah. So I'm thankful I didn't put myself in a situation. I think the biggest risk we have is talking that way and being like, big bravado and failing. It doesn't allow you to fail.
No, I think the pressure now, like, I'm so glad, like Spen said, that I grew up in a time when social media wasn't really, when I was competing, it wasn't about.
Yeah.
Because now, like, I train with lads who, like, on social media all the time, and you talk to them, really humble, good lads, but they literally feel an obligation that they have got to go out and post every other day
Yeah.
just to get this engagement. And in my head, I'm like, and I'm looking at young kids who I've coached on GB squad and stuff like this, and I'm watching them go to a competition, and they'll only post when they win, and if they lose, everyone else is like, oh, you haven't posted, and I'm like, you know, the guy's got no time to think, you know, for instance, to process a thought and think, I've lost, I'm going to come back. It's not a mental thing anymore, it's literally a visibility thing that's every of the world to see, not just you. For me, it's taken away from martial arts massively, but
I think it's everything.
but it's a business, so without it, where do you go? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's every sport that you can see. There's that, and I think that's probably where, you know, these kind of conversations where it's okay to fail. It's alright. It's okay. Like, you know, one of the best.
In fact, it's one of the best things that can happen.
It's the only way you're going to progress. If we're absolutely honest, no one has ever won everything in their life and become a world champion. They have failed significantly more than they've ever won to become a world champion. And that's the kind of conversations. How do we create a community in an environment where it's okay to fail? And that's where the support network comes in. You know, you know, they're still probably going to want to put stuff on social media because their pals are doing it. You know, it's part of society now where we all talk about the best bits of our life, never the worst bits, but it's then reinforcing when things do go wrong. It's okay. You know, you don't have to put anything out there. Just learn from it. You know, like I love seeing like people protect like amateur records. That is the time you should be throwing yourself into as many fires as possible, because who knows what, you know, Conor McGregor's amateur record is. Who knows what Khabib's amateur record is? No one knows. No one cares.
One thing you can never buy is experience. Without them, you'd never get them experiences to build to that level.
And that's a bit. It's just getting comfortable with being okay with not winning every single thing.
That's why I always go back to like traditional martial arts, wrestling, boxing, sambo, judo. You turn up on that day, you weigh it, you get on the scales, weigh in, your name goes into a pool, and you don't know who you're fighting. You're just looking around thinking, yeah, he's my side, I bet he's my way. Alright, he's my. And then you see your name come up and you don't get to choose or think, alright, I'm going to cherry pick this, you just jump on that mat and you give it your best, and if you win, you win, and if you lose, you lose.
And it was interesting because like I was working with Furkan Chima, like, you know, I love that kid to death. And we were struggling to get the MMA fight because it was through COVID and stuff like that. So we were really struggling to get his 1FC fight arranged and do all that kind of stuff. So we had our first Kudo competition coming up, and I'm like, just come in. He's like, oh, but I'm like, you've got a free fight, so it doesn't matter if you win or lose. It doesn't go on your record. It doesn't affect anything. But you get some reps and you get some, and he went and did well. You know, but it was that kind of mindset. It's like you frame something in a way. It's like it's okay to fail. Just go and give it a go. And that's a professional fighter as well. So like I've done that multiple times with many professional fighters where, you know, I put people in boxing matches or put people into kickboxing matches because I could see there was a mental hurdle where they were struggling because they didn't want to lose that zero. It's like, okay, well we'll come back to that. Let's do some kickboxing. Let's do some boxing. Let's go do some grappling. And then it's like just framing it in a way. It's like you can fail. It doesn't affect this thing you try to protect, and you don't say that's a bit of argument, but it's like we'll go and give this a little bit of a play.
And do you think it's one of them things when the more you do, the better you get?
I mean,
or do you think some people, like I've seen it a lot with wrestling, like some people are training wrestlers and some people are competition wrestlers. And they, no matter how many times they've competed, they just can't seem to get over that hurdle for some reason.
I mean, I don't even know how many people I've coached in all the various different martial arts I've done over the years. There's not been many occasions where the mental aspect has broken a person consistently every single time. There has been, and there's been a couple where I weren't able to kind of work it out. Felt like I failed a little bit on that one, but what is more repeatable is just throw yourself in and get going. And like I've had some people who they couldn't pick the nose with a left hand if they tried. You know, they honestly they have no concept of kind of what the body's doing. So teaching them a complex martial art like MMA, where it's multiple sports, multiple disciplines, multiple, positions and stuff like that. What worked for that person, I've seen this multiple times where it doesn't matter how I coached, how we did stuff in training, I just threw him in a fight and he won. And the cheer that kid got, the cheer that guy got as well, were like unbelievable. The entire team were like amazing, and sometimes you just got to throw yourself in the fire.
Yeah, and
look, that's how it works.
There's no set.
I'm not as experienced as you guys in coaching or anything like that, but it's safe to say I've got a lot of life experience and been around the world and done this and done that. Being a Russia on my own, sat there 45 minutes in immigration was one of the scariest things I've ever done. But when it comes to it, I always sit down with these fighters, pre-fight, interview them after the fight, training sessions, and I always try to look into their mental fortitude or the way they speak or and I've noticed certain things about certain fighters, and I always think like, some try, I don't know, I'm this and I'm a fighter. Some are so simple, like this or whatever. But it all boils down to you, like you say, on the day, you're getting on the mats, you're doing like for Kanchima, for example, but you just got there, you get it off your chest, and that's it. And I feel like it's a thing that we have to, it's a forgotten part of the sport, because when you walk into a gym, and this is no disrespect to any young coaches, but this combo and and you need to beat this, and no one ever takes a step back and saying, like you say, it's okay to fail and it's okay to just get thrown into the deep end, and I think it's a massive part. We should be all.
Without doubt,
it's hard to teach. That's the hardest part to teach. So
I was saying to you, like, and I didn't want to. I'd love to sit in your session and just like talk to, about the youths and talk about listening.
You shouldn't do that.
Yeah, I always feel like because you don't have experience of fighting, it's wrong to like, can I or may I, and
I think what makes a good coach, though, and for me, these are the coaches that I pull towards, are the people who know how to talk to people. They understand, they don't have a degree, but they understand kind of what people need. So a lot of coaching is understanding what a person needs. Like, I don't coach anyone the same way. So like I've got some kids who I've coached in the past where I've had to scream at them, like literally scream them, shake them, get them going, just to get them in a position where they're ready to fight, because they were so chilled. It didn't matter what happened, or they were so scared. That worked for them. And then there's some other guys where it's just like, okay, so he's gonna probably shoot low for a low ankle pick, so let's make sure we take a step back every time we see that dip down and fire it out. Some people that works really, really well. It's, you have to understand the person. The default coaching for everyone in a martial art, which relies on understanding an athlete's physicality, skill set, preferences, and then the opponent's skill set, preferences, and physical attributes. It's hard to do everything together like that. And then the mental side, what's going to get that person ready. So this is why I always insisted, all my fighters, regardless of whether they come from whatever background, they had to do interclubs. Because it weren't they needed to get comfortable with combat. I needed to understand how they need to warm up. I needed to understand what they needed from their coaching. They needed to go through the process of what's different between wrestling and MMA. So like, touch gloves, you don't touch gloves in wrestling. You go out, you shake hands, you're in a low stance. So I need you to be in a higher stance, hitting, and then hands coming straight up, expecting kicks. So it's that pattern recognition of the sport that you're doing. And that's kind of something which you need to do as a coach. Put people through the process a couple of times. So that's how I've always approached how I coach things. So it's worked. It's worked okay. There's been times it hasn't worked, but for the majority of times it's worked okay.
So if you have to pick one combat sport and you have to live with it for the rest of your life, what would it be? And you get rid of everything else.
So
I'll put it like that, just so we're not.
So if we're talking about not picking it to pieces of like, you can only do boxing or you can only do kickboxing, for me, like,
You're just one. It has to be not the mixed martial. You can't say mixed martial.
Can't say Kudo, because that's pretty much mixed martial arts. So I mean, if we're taking Kudo out there as well, because it is
Yeah,
kind of
the
an
mix.
integration of lots of things. The default would be Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because you can kind of do that to quite an old age, but I miss the scrap.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that Kudo gives you. It gives you that little taste of the scrap.
It's good.
It's
It's that jacket life. When we like I said to you before, we go up on a Tuesday and bring about 6 or 7 of like just mates, random mates, some that have never done no, some that just like, excuse me, I'm not gonna shout your name out, but it will smoke a joint just before they go, throw it out.
We can tell.
Alright, Joe McAvoy. They'll smoke a joint, throw out. Then we were mates who train 3 times a day. We all just went up there, put a jacket on and sweating, red hot room upstairs and so grabbed an old beach, give each other it.
And that's a hard bit as a fighter, isn't it? Like, because I've pretty much done more MMA than any other martial art in my life. So like that rolling around and hitting, like taking that away, like jiu-jitsu, like it feels something's missing. And like at some point I'm gonna have to stop. The striking and the hard combat.
If you train it smart though, I don't really think you have to, do you? If you
shouldn't. And there's people in Japan.
You know what it is? It's all about your partners, isn't it? And if you get a good partner who you can gel with, and you both know your limitations, and
But I'm my worst anyway.
You just want to jump on it. I seen you with that
little taste.
That Dagestani guy you were fighting.
You get drawn in, and that's the problem. But the good thing about Kudo is that you get separated with age categories. So when I graded for my black belt in Japan, there were a Russian guy who was going for his 7th degree black belt, and he had to have a fight.
Right.
So someone matched in the 60s. So like Japan have got quite a few people in the 60s, 70s still practicing and sparring and fighting in Kudo. That's kind of what I like. I need someone.
That's what I wanted, because you've spent quite a few. I remember when I first, you've not been to Japan, I don't think, at this point. You said, I always want to go, and then have you been a couple of times since now? Is it?
A couple of times. So
what? Not just the place. My uncle's actually going for somewhere he's wanted to go all his life as well. And he was an ex-karate man, and he's like, I've always wanted to go to Japan, but not the place. I'm talking about the culture of like martial art. How do they approach it completely different to how we do? Or is the mentality different? Is the training different? What?
So Kudo is a little more traditional. So it kind of mimics a little more like a traditional karate class. So you have what's called Kion, which is your basic techniques, and then moving techniques, which is called Ido. You have your lines and that kind of thing.
Like the kata types.
Yeah, there's no katas, but like the Kion where you kind of throwing your shots and stuff. And going through like a series of warm-ups, like it looks very formal, but for me, like I still do that to warm up, like because it enforces you to think about your technique, where your hands going, where they're going back, and it's like shadow boxing. It's like a really structured shadow boxing. It is a lot more formal, where like there is the kind of bowing element and stuff like that. So. Some people that's not going to work. Some people probably not going to like that, but I like the martial arts side of it. Everyone's respectful because it's a fighting art. So at some point, if you were an idiot, you're probably going to have a scrap. Or they'll get corrected, so you have that self-regulating thing. But it's a great art. You've got people in like say into the 60s, 70s still doing that. When I've trained like in grappling and more kind of MMA, so more modern day martial arts, people look more chilled. So it's not quite as structured. It's not as like formal. So I've got a very good friend called Abiani. When I went to Japan the first time in 2005, we spent 2 weeks training with him, and he sorted us out training all over the place. Got to train with some high level professional fighters as well. He's a lot less formal. He's a lot more relaxed. He's spent time like coaching in America and Australia and stuff like that. So it can be a lot of different things. We went to some places where we were straight up not even acknowledged and told to go away. Like we went to what's called P Lab, so Pancras. We were outside trying to get into a section, and one of the main referees just walked past us and wouldn't even acknowledge us. Yeah, because you had to get selected to become a member of the Peas Labs, and then we went to another one which was He was actually a gangster, which we found out much later.
Yakuza.
Yeah, he was linked to the Yakuza, so we went to train with him, and there was this big dog that chased us and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, so it can be whatever you want it to be. Like, I love Japan though. Japan's amazing.
From what I've seen, like I've never been, but from what I've seen, it does seem like the culture around. Even when I've watched judo, very respectful and methodical on the train.
Oh,
It's
definitely.
like really fought for. Like, 'cause sometimes you'll come and I don't know, a bit like America, for example, when I train there. Sometimes it's like it's not as methodical. It's more just go, go, go.
Yeah.
Seems like in Japan, every rep's accounted for like for a specific reason.
Yeah, you're being analysed all the time. So when you're training, especially when you're grading, like I had quite a famous kudo fight called Kononenko, and he would literally next to my ear just staring at my technique and making sure that everything were bob on.
Picking it apart.
And you can kind of look at that two ways. You can look at that as like, oh, I don't like that formality, or you can look at it as like, I want that critique.
Yeah.
So I've got a multiple world time champion staring at me, making sure that my technique is correct.
That makes you perform better.
Yeah, definitely, and it's yeah, you know, it's one of those where it was a really good opportunity. Some people might not like that, but
then again, it gets rid of that whole like we spoke about it, and it really annoys me. They've just been training a couple of months, and you walk in and it's I'm an English champion, I'm a European champion, I'm a world champion.
Yeah.
Like, come on, guys, we're creating, and this I know I keep going back to it, and it's getting boring, but
no,
I just feel like
it's
when you look at that side of it, and you look how stringent they are, and the grading, and how respectful and analysing, and it's a reason for it, right? Because it's a martial art, and the best become that, and
you're always a student in martial arts.
Yeah.
I think that the multiple champion thing is a really good point. It goes back to my earlier point of it's not okay to fail. Like we've created all these different belts because everyone has to have an award.
Yeah.
You know, everyone has to be a champion. Like, it's not a new thing though. Like, you know, when I started doing karate, everyone were every kickboxer I spoke to in the world was a British champion.
I thought it started recently.
I was like, how many British championships are there? Like, everyone I'm speaking to is a British champion. So I'm not.
It's come from the boxing.
I don't know.
The multiple world champion.
Yeah, but I keep saying no. I always say though, you know, when it's boxing, yes, there's different organisations, but then when you're going through the amateur ranks and you're going, it takes your time to go through the regional, the national. It takes your time, and that's why I don't like the white collars. Yes, it's good for business, and I put a show on, and I can make money and get the people off the streets and get them in. But when it comes to the whole, he's a European, I would never call it an English champion or European. It's disrespectful to the guys that are training and going through all these rankings or whatever they go through to get to that stage. I think it's
America when they do the World Super Bowl. Only America.
Well, I used to joke like I put some on the internet and go like Tuesday, kickers 8 till 5 minutes past 8, we're gonna have a world championship. If no one turns up, I'm claiming I'm world champion. So like it's that kind of thing where like you can easily do that, and it goes back to the kickboxing analogy. Like, at what point do you take away that thing from a person? So like if someone's saying that they're a world champion or a British champion or a Yorkshire champion and stuff like that in whatever martial art it is, you've got to be a little bit careful, because that might be the catalyst for them to then build onto that to do something really great. It might not be, and just they're going to live off the back of that. They're going to have the belt round for the next 10 years, going to Asda
and then
go find some whoop spread and like belt on. I've got the whoop spread and
But that's not a true martial artist then, though, is it? Really?
No, but what is though? Like, is it the lady who went to one kickboxing? I don't think she came back either, if I remember correctly. But she was instantly adopted as a kickboxer. What do you take away from people?
The lifelong, to me, like a martial artist, that I didn't used to like the lyrics, mine were just wrestling.
Yeah.
But now, as like I said, you get older, you look in the mirror, you have that conversation. And now I look and I see all this stuff we do is a martial art. Don't matter wrestling, karate, jiu-jitsu, it's all martial arts. But for me, when I look at someone and I say he's a martial artist, and I say that by the years he spent doing it, the years he spent helping serve the community back, and just how he carries himself. I look at someone and I say, he's a proper sportsman.
Yeah.
You know, like you can just tell humble guy, helping. You know, if you ask for advice, he's not too shy to ask for advice of somebody or lend a hand or whatever. Do you know what I mean? And
too many egos, I say. There's too many egos.
that's in every walk of life, not even martial arts.
No,
Like, that's just
yeah,
you can
that's
go
life.
at work. That happens.
Oh,
you go to work and you got someone above you telling you.
We work in corporate jobs. I think we all know that.
I work in tech and IT, and like you do get like these situations where people will test you.
Yeah.
You know, they'll have little geek offs of like, oh, do you know this, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, it's this, or, you know, we're going to do ABC to DY. What? Yeah, I know, mate. Like, look, just chill out. I'm not challenging you to And I think that comes from martial arts, because you've had your ass kicked so many times. At some point, you go like, okay, you win. You're the biggest geek in here. I've done with that. Can we just crack on with some work? But it's the same with martial arts as well. Someone comes in and tells me, I'm this, I'm that, I'm that. Brilliant, lovely stuff. Let's
train.
Get your
Do you ever have them moments at work where you're in your head thinking, mate, if I switch, you are. In your head, that little guy says, you know what? If I switch this guy, because I do it all the time. I'm like, he's giving me, he's saying whatever, and I'm just looking at him and thinking, man,
You need to keep training.
Yeah, it's always in there, Brett, isn't it?
It's an interesting question, because like, I don't think I have that, but if someone were really, and I've done this multiple times, like, come to the gym.
Yeah.
I'm like, come to the gym.
That's just enough, isn't it?
It's just like, I won't hurt you. You know, I'll go to the level and intensity that you go, but let's come to the gym. Majority of people don't turn up. Sometimes people come down and, you know, like, no one gets hurt, but they kind of learn a little bit of a lesson of like what it's like to get manhandled a little bit, you know. And sometimes you go with someone and it's like, oh shit, like, you've got some talent here, maybe you should think about doing it. And there's no malice. It's just like, okay, I've been beaten so many times, I fought so many different people. You know, in September I went over to Bulgaria, I fought 2 massive Bulgarians in European Championship for Kudo with a torn knee. You know, it's like, you are not that scary Bulgarian. Just come down and find out. It doesn't, and for those people, like, a lot of the time it goes back to that they put themselves in a situation where they can't fail. If they come down and fail, like, they can.
Surprised how many people like it.
That's why I think they should put it in schools. You know, we should start a petition to bring it back to school.
So something, that, like, I don't know, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, something like that.
Because
a good mate of mine, and he's he's a genuine humble as all. But at the time, I remember him, he wanted to train with me, so I brought him down and that. And we had like a little spar, and I was just messing about, and he's like, I can't believe that. I'm like, what? He's like, I honestly thought in my head that even if Khabib would have come here, when he jumps down for your legs, I'd just need him in his head. This is what he said to me. Like I said, he's the most humble lad you'll ever meet. But in his head, he really believed it. Like, I just looked at it and I said, what, you're jumping at someone's legs? I just knee you straight in your head. And then he got on mad and he was like, fuck, excuse me. F me.
Because everyone understands fighting. Everyone understands if someone's winning or losing a fight. It don't matter what art. You kind of see, a layman can come in and kind of go, oh, that guy's winning. So, like, well, I can do that. But then the actual application is something different. I could teach surfing in Bartley. All I need to know is like 2 more days of training than you know. And if I can get you on a board, I can teach you how to surf. And that's all I need. And it's that kind of mentality, which is like, well, can you spend? Like, have you actually done it? I'll tell people I could do it. See, someone will sponsor me to send me to Bali to teach surfing. But it's that kind of mentality of like, I understand the patterns. I understand what's going on. I think I can work this out. So like,
thinking and doing is completely different.
And like, you know, going out and work dues and stuff like that, and people start messing around, and it doesn't have to be much, but you just grab the wrist and lift off them. And I've had this a couple of times, like, because everyone targets you, don't they? Like, I'm a bit chubby, I'm older now, so everyone thinks they can have a little pop. And
still got the cauliflower ears.
Sometimes it works. But like, kids messing around, like, oh, okay, yeah, and I grabbed his wrist and I put a wrist lock on, not hard, and he came up and he whispered in my ears like, let it go, Mark. Because he was still trying to save face. I just like, oh yeah, thanks a lot, mate. Patted him, made a little bit of a fuss of him. So, but like, that will hopefully a moment for him where he's learned a lesson of like, oh, okay, maybe I am vulnerable. I need to really think about what my levels of capability are.
We used to do an initiation when I used to do gardening.
Oh.
So we'd have me, Tommy, my uncle, and like a few others. Anytime we got a new guy, what we'd do?
Yeah.
We had this big field, so we'd cut a circle. We'd get the mower and we'd cut like a circle in the ring and be like, right, before you can carry on the rest of the day, you've got to wrestle 2 matches.
And it was you, your dad, Tommy.
First, we'd put we'd get one at younger lads because my uncle's sons used to work at like 15.
Right.
So we'd put them against 15-year-olds first, see how they get on.
Who were wrestlers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we'd be like, all right, you're that level. You stay there. You go cut the grass now. Then we can.
Oh my word.
Like that initiation.
That's an old school kind of like English mentality, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, you have that kind of hazing in every sport. I'm not a massive fan of it. If I'm
No,
honest,
we're
but
not that.
it's a good deal.
Joking.
No,
Some
that's
people-
why I stick with you because
We need
it could be yeah. Well, look, fight talk. Brett and I, we're trying to break down barriers.
Yeah.
Whether that's cultural, religion, whatever. We're trying to be inclusive because this sport, this combat sports, we're trying to bring everybody together because there's a lot of negativity, right? We have fun, like Brett just explained there in his initiation, but at the end of it, they're all fun and jokes. They're all happy. We're all getting on. I seen a post on I think you put up Happy Eid, and it were bugging me because I liked it, and then I read a comment on it, and it said, I don't know, are you going to do something about St. George's Day? And I was thinking, you're trying to be nice, you're trying to bring everybody together, it's somebody else's special day. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got lots of Muslim friends.
yeah.
I've got,
And
people
that's
I've
what
led with.
I saw it as. Oh, he's trying to be nice. He's trying to bring, his Muslim friends and say something and say, be nice to them. And then you got that. And how does that make you feel? Because I'm trying, and when you at this as well, is I'm trying to do, because I'm gonna get some stick somewhere along the line.
Yeah, definitely.
Is I'm trying to do something nice. I'm trying to break down barriers. I'm trying to bring different cultures, religions, and thing, and say, look, this is combat sports. This is Bradford. This is the UK. Because Great Britain for me is that.
Yeah.
Is because we're all sat together.
Yeah, definitely.
And where it could be whatever. Great Britain allows me to go to the mosque and pray.
Yeah.
Without saying anything. It allows him to go to the church, and I don't know, sort of your religious.
I'm not agnostic, but I don't really practice.
But you do something, and it allows you to be that, right? And that's the whole great bit about the Britain, right? And then you did that. How do you feel like? Because you're a martial artist that's leading the country. You've done so much in Ekudo. You're doing so much. You've done so much, and you're bringing all these things into the UK, and you're training the next generation. And you're putting us on the map, basically. You put the city on the map, and you put
the country.
Yeah, the country on the map. How does that make you feel? Because
So, I mean, comments like that, it doesn't bother me. It just gives us an opportunity to go, turn the mirror and kind of show, actually, look at comment. Does that make sense? And for me, like, I'm not very good sometimes with remembering Eid Mubarak and all, and other religions and stuff like that. But I have lots of Muslim friends, lots of Muslim students who all wish me Merry Christmas. So where do we draw the line here? Like, I've got lots of friends who are celebrating, with their family and with their friends, and sometimes we bring me samosas. There were no samosas this year, by the way, guys. So, like, why wouldn't I, as an Englishman, extend that courtesy? If you wish me Merry Christmas, and you don't have to, I'm still going to try and remember to wish you Eid Mubarak. I'm going to still try and remember, Happy Diwali. I'm going to still try and remember all the different religions of all the people I have in my life. I've been lucky to be surrounded by so many different people. I try and remember, like, Donut Day for Polish people, because they have a day where they all eat donuts called fat. I know.
Love it.
I've been so fortunate to have so many different friends. Like, I've got lots of Japanese friends. Some are Shinto, some are Buddhist. I've not remembered to. I wouldn't even know how to, say, celebrate, something that they do. Hindus, I've got loads of Hindu friends, and it's one of those that, I will try and remember to extend that common courtesy. If we all do that, regardless of whether you believe in the same religion, whether you believe, whatever's going on in the world, whatever's in the press, it just creates a nice environment, and
Yeah,
that's what I'm
of
trying
course.
to do. Like for me, it's like, you know, I don't care, you know, as long as you're a good person.
Yeah.
What does it matter who you pray to?
Mm,
That's an important bit. Like and you learn this through martial arts. Like you really learn about people very quickly
yeah.
within the first 5 minutes of having a roll or having a spar with someone. Like I know who you are as a person. You know, you do get a feel for it, but like the world's got enough hate, it's got enough anger. I add to it.
Mm,
You know, and if anyone's gonna challenge me on kind of whether I'm English or not,
yeah.
like I am literally have nothing but English in me.
Yeah.
Like it'd be great to have something else, but
Yeah.
it's because then I'd have something else to celebrate.
Spencer isn't English.
It is, yeah. There's stable hands. That's what we're. That's where the name comes from.
Is it?
Apparently, yeah. So, but like that doesn't mean that affect. Something's taken away from me by saying Eid Mubarak or saying Happy Diwali or whatever. You know, it's just me saying, look,
Yeah.
have a great time, have a nice time, enjoy your time with your family.
And that's the most important thing, isn't it? Your family, you're spending time together.
And your friends, and you know, and it's that kind of stuff. You can spend a lot of time tearing stuff down or a lot of time building. And I think I've always tried to build.
Yeah.
You know, and it's never worked. It's not worked all the time. Sometimes you get let down, or sometimes something happens, or sometimes you approach a situation wrong. But it's okay to fail.
Yeah.
It's all right.
That's today's lesson for me, I think, from a great inspiration of the city, a massive big coach, and leading the country in a battle like you do when you got all these competition. The biggest thing I'll take away from today is it's okay to fail.
What's the other option? Like,
Yeah.
do nothing and
I
don't
think-
lose.
I
Like,
think that's it. You know, we have so much talent and in the city,
definitely, yeah.
but we also have a lot of egos. And I feel like a lot of them are scared to fail is the reason why a lot of us don't succeed.
For me, Bradford is Bradford's own worst enemy.
It is,
You
isn't
get what I
it?
mean?
Yeah. It's always putting itself down, and I feel like we have too many egos. That
So I mean, it's interesting. Like I guess I've always been involved, especially in the city centre, through meeting loads of different people. What's changed? At what point do we feel like the ego side has kind of kicked in? What's big? What have you guys seen?
Competition.
Really,
I'd say, yeah.
avoiding like tough competition.
No, just like seeing other people as competition and things like that.
Oh, really?
see, like me as a man.
Well, I'm just gonna go from. Don't get me wrong. Probably every city has a similar sort of thing, like where you don't want to see someone do well, and
Yeah.
But like for my time in America, when I were in like these little towns, they were just so proud of their town that it don't matter who, mate. If you were a state champion, your name went up on a billboard. Home of one of my friends, and for example, Matt Sloan, state champion.
Yeah.
And that's there, and like they're so proud. Oh yeah, we've got so he's the baseball. But over here, it's like, yeah, he's alright. Oh yeah, have you seen?
Yeah.
Like everyone's competing again. And I feel like it's a big competition where I'll look at someone, I'll think, well done. You know, like well done. Like, I look at Spen, I like Spinners, I like Craig's, Callum's, I like everybody to do because well, there's enough positivity, there's enough people in Bradford to fit every box in there.
And I've always said, look, as a man, right, I don't take anything. No, I don't lose anything for saying you're a great inspiration. You know, you've done so much for the city. I get onto the mats with Brett. He literally just taps me, sweeps me, whatever. Keep rolling. But I'll just still get back up and I still do it. But because I've spent time so much now going to all these events and these fights, listening, interviewing, talking to fans, why are they all fighting Brazilians? Okay, mate, have you ever thought how let's just use a local Bradford name, someone that's on a professional, like him? No, have you? No, have you ever had Interclub? No.
Exactly.
So how can you say that he's just fighting Brazilians? That's the demographics or the way the business is at this moment in time, and he's fighting them people. He's still doing better than you, and I feel like as times go like, and I don't want to mention people's names because I don't want to upset their fighters, but someone will have a fight and they'll say, oh, well, he's not going to make it. And I'm like, mate, he's got his picture on the billboard.
Yeah.
Bradford Live. Isn't that an achievement?
Oh, it's massive.
It's a massive achievement
Yeah.
for you. And then they're talking about, oh, well, he's not going to make it. But he's making it in life. He's set a goal for
It's
himself.
always
And,
comparing.
and I'm like, why can't we just all get on? And that's why and I've been saying to Brett, can we do more on Fight Talk on Filter? Because I'm going to give up. I'm not gonna lie to you, Brett were like, oh, well, you need to use it. I've had Conor McGregor like a post. I've had GSP like a post. I've had, so many different fighters I met through this journey of mine. And I thought, do you know what am I doing it for?
How old are you?
38. Going
They always
39.
says 40.
Yeah, closer to 40.
35, and I'm 46. And what we've got to remember is we've been through a lot. We're at an older age. Life's all about stages. The people who are seeing people as competition and not celebrating Bradford as a whole, are they the younger kind of end?
Not all the time.
No.
You'll be surprised. You'll be surprised.
It is young. Not
It
like,
is
I'm
majority.
talking like 15, because I see it. Like I work in a school,
Yeah.
so I listen to like what the kids, like I'm talking like I'm not talking about older. I'm talking about 15, 16-year-olds, and they're comparing like.
But they're on the phone doing it all day.
Yeah.
This goes back to that social
Yeah.
media. So they'll be on. They'll be like, oh no, I can't go to his gym. Oh no, that lad's a rubbish fighter. This and like, and I'm in my head, it's always comparing. There's no like, wow, he's done pretty. Yeah, I should try that, or maybe I should go and put myself out there.
And this is why this is important at the end of the day, because you need to have that kind of longer form content where we might get a few views, or we'll bring someone else and you get more views. It's that enforcing those positive reinforcements and actions, and saying like, if you're comparing yourself with that person, it's going to happen, because the way that society is now, that's the job. And we all look at the best lives and go, oh God, I wish I had a Ferrari, or God, I wish I had that.
Yeah.
But like, this is where this is important. You've got to give that alternate look, because at some point it's going to affect someone in a positive way.
Yeah, I hope so.
It will.
Yeah.
You can't fix the world,
Yeah.
but a lot of what life is just impacting slightly. I still get people like who message me every now and again and like, oh, you changed my life, and I'm like, I don't get it. Like, I can't see it, mate. But for whatever that moment was, we've got that woman. I said she was a kickboxer in her former life. All day of it. Like, but that's great. She's had that experience, and it's framing stuff, I think. And again, like, without I'm not selling the book saying it's okay to fail. But
that's your next
coming out in September. Pre-orders in
Talking of that though, someone Mike Grundy. So there's certain people in life that you listen to, like you just see him as a person of authority, and his dad would have really, God rest his soul, Dave Grundy, started Wigan and Lee Wrestling Club back like 30, 40 years ago or whatever, but it was just like a stable, them guys that are just true to the core, British wrestling first and foremost, and help with people around the community. And he put a post up one time, and this was going back quite a good few years ago, but it resonated. Like even today, I still think about what he said, because I try to use it like how I coach now. And he said, don't ever sell yourself on how well you're doing in some kids' lives. He said it might happen now, but just like you said, you'll get a random message. And he said he once met this young lad, said about 20 years later, said he were in the supermarket. He said, oh, Dave, do you remember me? And Dave said, yeah, but on his boss said, I didn't have a clue who it was. He said, but you were one of the best coaches I ever had. You said I were really good at cartwheels. And like, it is anyway, like, a simple thing of saying you're really good at cartwheels. He said, this lad has remembered that for 25 years and come back, pulled me in a supermarket and said that. And I just thought, when he put that, I thought, you know what? Like, so every time I'll do it every day, like, young Rayan, he actually is really good at head flips. If you watch him, I'll tell him, I'll say, you're the best there. Look at him, everybody do it. And I try and make it, because I just want it to go home and think, I've done something today.
It's that positive
reinforcement. Do you know, like, even though he's not hooked to wrestling, but he's done something today, and it's like, you never know.
And I love it. We said Dreamer, he put a post up, he had during Ramadan, he got everybody together, different religions, and he said something about opening a fast together. Callums, they're doing that, whatever they do throughout the year, they're bringing everybody together. You do what you do, and it just feels like, you put the tea, you bring tea up, and everyone's at it. Look, he said, whatever happens, it's always blaming the others. And I just feel like, even like you just say, one word can change a kid's perspective. And, they're all kids at the end of the day. We're all young, we're not young anymore, but, you get to, you change that person's life, perspective on life, first of all, and they grow up to be, good human beings is the most important thing, right? For me, anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. This is where your role changes as you get older. your role becomes more of a guidance and mentor and, a supportive role for young people. Like that kind of instance where you're pointing out one good thing, that then will open up that opportunity for that kid to feel happy about themselves. You don't know what they're going home to. Could be an absolute nightmare, but for that moment, they've got that happiness, and that's where you create a community, don't you? It's, it doesn't matter where you're from, what religion you are, you have an opportunity to affect a child's life. Why not? Why not support that kid? Like, you don't have to do an awful lot, and it's that kind of thing where, as older people, we've got to remember the testosterone, the what kids have to face nowadays with just constantly comparing themselves to teammates and coaches and stuff like that, and it's like just helping guide in a different way. Because it can affect people like Mike Grundy, like, oh, dude, like I'd have,
he's a UFC fighter, but
Yeah.
if you go shake his hand, he'd never tell it. Just say that's what I'm saying. A proper martial artist. And these are people who you look and you think he's a martial artist.
He's helped a lot of people, a lot of people outside of what would be his normal demographic. He's a great man. And like an absolute solid guy. And it's that kind of thing. Sometimes you have to be the example.
Yeah.
So like the Facebook post, like I could have like argued or just go, actually, this is me.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Like, I don't really need your validation, but it'd be great if you have a little look and then you can decide whether I'm doing my role as I should be. And then that hopefully convinces you, but it doesn't, it hopefully corrects that kind of attitude a little bit. It might not. It's okay. It might lead to more Facebook posts. Please don't Facebook posts.
St. George's Day's coming up.
I know. I didn't put a reminder. It's St. Swithin's Day you need to be focused on. 15th of July, that guy doesn't get enough credit.
That's why I just don't put anything up, and then you got no.
That's the thing. Where do you stop? Where do you start? Do you stop? Do you start?
Just put positive stuff.
People are going to be like, who's this guy creating podcasts and don't know, he's never had a fight in his life. Well, I have, but not on paper.
It's a different skill, and this is where you're putting yourself in a situation where, like, you're speaking to martial artists, and if you haven't had the opportunity to do that, that doesn't mean that you don't have a place in this role.
Yeah, and the funniest thing is Brett always we always speak about is when I went to Russia, when I was in Dagestan and Chechnya. I've got a friend who's a relative of the guy that punched my grace, Zubair Tahugov.
Oh, okay.
His cousin is a really good friend of mine, and he's talking to me and he says, oh, look, you love MMA, whatever. So what have you given back to the community? Because we're talking about Khabib, Khabib and how he is as a person, and I was like, he's such a great guy, he's the way intellectual, and it's always, whatever his answers, if you look at him, is quite... I think him and Muhammad Ali that spring to mind is when they get asked a question, the way they articulate the answer, there's always some purpose behind the answer. And long story short, and he was like, so what do you do, Jay, for giving back to the community? I just sat there and I was like, what? And then I came back and it was my daughter. I kept saying, she's only 7 now, and I kept saying dreams without effort are just dreams. And she turned around and says to me, Dad, what were your dreams growing up? And that's when it hit me. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I've got all these connections. My mates were like, you go in here, you sat with this fight, you always get a cage fight, you'd always cage side, you'd always... And I thought, hold on, I could actually do something in these years that I'm still about, and I could try to teach a child from the inner cities of Bradford or whatever it is in the UK. If you've got a dream, you can actually go do it. If I can do this, I can be sat with these guys, cage side watching a fight, PFL, UFC, whatever, and I found that I can actually use this as a tool to say, get out there, guys. You can be the best fighter. You can be the best. And that's why I always try to break down them barriers, bring positivity into it, and hopefully resonate with one person at least.
That's it. And it's important. And like, it don't matter whether a whole room of people disagree with you or put a comment or do that kind of stuff. End of the day, you're in front of a mirror by yourself at some point, aren't you? So you gotta look at yourself in the eyes and go, did I give it a go?
Yeah.
And it's that's something you can always go back to, but you can't run away from your own.
And what's that song? I Did It My Way.
Yeah,
what was his name?
Frank.
Yeah, Asian guys know.
You get-
Asian guys know music as well. It's I know it's stereotypical. We don't listen to that type of
You sing as well.
but I did it my way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a lot of life, though, isn't it? Like everyone looks like they know what they're doing, but people don't. Like my early days of MMA, like we're really just trying to work out what was going on. We're like we're in Coniston, I think it were, or we're up that way. And a fighter came up to me just about to do the walkout, and his rib popped out.
Yeah.
And he's like, Spen, look at my rib, look at my rib. Okay, I'm like, okay, let's just take some deep breaths. It's just the intercostal muscle. Just need to relax. Okay, big deep breath in. Oh, look, it's gone. Are you feeling great? Okay, let's go out. Let's do the fight. Came back. He won. TKO came back and he's like, oh, thank God you knew what to do. I'm like, I have no idea. I have never seen that in my life. There's been so many situations where things have happened. I'm just like, I have no expertise here. Like, I'm gonna have to try and work out how I calm this person down so that the intercostal muscle went back in, and luckily it worked. But like a lot of people are like that, aren't they? Like kids think adults know.
Oh, you do. You mess up like you'll do something or say something or put something up, and you're like, I wish I wouldn't have said that. I wish I wouldn't have done that. But you move on. Life goes on, doesn't it? You know, if your worries sit and dwell over something too long,
you just don't try. And don't try. Not trying is worse than
exactly.
Keeping your 0-0 record.
Yeah, it is, and that's. I'm gonna finish on that, mate, because I think a lot of fighters need to really just forget about the zeros, mate. The O.
No, it just goes for anything in life. I'll take a chance, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so it was a pleasure. Look, for me, obviously, thank you for what you're doing for the city, first of all, and the country. Do you get enough kudos? I don't know. But for me, thank you very much, because you're playing your little 1% part in making the place a better place to live, and a country a better place to live. So thank you for that. Second time.
No problem.
Thanks for the continued help, Spen. You've always helped me, been a massive support for me, so I appreciate it as always.
Bradford needs it. It needs people consistently doing stuff. So I'm dead proud of kind of what you're doing, and you guys have always been a big part of my life throughout my martial art career. Like seeing what the guys are doing at Strike Kings and Matt Leon, like dead proud of those guys. And I'm so thankful Solomon's doing his stuff in City Centre. We've obviously got our stuff a little further to put short, and like people like Craig at Dream Art's doing a fantastic job. Like I think I've trained with him maybe 3 times in my life, but like I love seeing what he's doing and how he's influencing stuff. So again, Bradford needs that kind of thing. I wish I had a bit more time to do a bit more, but it's just great. Like, and it's just, let's continue building.
Yeah,
this is important.
Yeah,
you got to keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, and one other thing before I forget, we're thinking of getting not a hub as such, but on a weekend once maybe a month, where all walks of life, all walks of religions, we're all going to get together through the combat sport scene, and we're all going to, I don't know, coffee and walk, cycle. We're going to set up things. Brett come up with the idea. So hats off to Brett.
Mainly you.
Follow on. Yeah, and we're going to do that. So we'd hopefully love to have you on, because McGregor can put a post up and you get millions of people turn up for that. But we're going to start small, and we're going to get like yourselves, like the Callums, like the young and old, every religion, every culture, and just try to put that positivity out there. So we'd love to have you on one of them as well.
Keep building.
Yeah.
Cheers, man.
Thank you.
Oh, nice
Thank you, man. Thank you.